It's fan service time. Hello and welcome to another figure review. Today we're going to have a look at, well, there's the first problem. I have two titles. This is from the Orange Cat industry, Solomon 72 Rare BODYTEC Camio figure. So that's one title, and the other title I have is the Solomon 72 Gaiden, the 24 Solar Term Series Armored Girl Cameo. So that's the first mystery. By the way, why are you looking at me right now? I thought I'd do the introduction on camera for this one, because this is a special piece. Orange Cat Industry is, first of all, a lovely name. The company has only been producing mechas so far, and I don't even know if they have released anything yet, but I've seen, I looked at the list, and it's been mechas. So we got this lovely fan servicey girl with the blue hair and everything going on with this. I love this design, and that's the reason why I picked it up. Also got some lovely artwork on the side and the regular stuff on the back. But I looked at this figure and I was like, well, I like this design. I like the size. I like that you get a base with it, and it looks promising. So I'm always up for giving a shot at new companies. So without further ado, let's have a look at her. So pretty straightforward. There's some good stuff here, and there's some bad stuff. Starting off with the size, I think this is very important since this is a new product. She stands at about 15 centimeters to the top of the head. If we're going to the top of the horse, that would be almost 16. For your inches, we are going up to 6 or 6.2. Size comparisons. Here's Jolter, Figma Aqua, the SH Figuarts Krillin, SH Figuarts Goku, SH Figuarts Lunch, Naka Michelangelo, Nendoroid Papa Parade Nero Claudius, and Darkseid. So as you can tell, she doesn't really fit in anywhere as far as size goes. I thought it would be a good fit for Figmas, but she's a bit taller than that, and even like SH Figuarts. So it's her own kind of thing. Overall, look in detail, the face sculpt, oof, it's beautiful. It's very charming. You have the pink eyes with a lot of detail in there. As we move up to the hair sculpt, also has a lot of strains going down. It's a little bit rounded on the tips, but it does look great. Good amount of detail. For the horns, you can tell they're a lot more shiny and have some shading on it while it goes from the dark into the brighter. And the golds, they have a technique for the gold. You have this brighter gold, which is mainly how it's painted, and then you have this more orangey, a lot more intense gold in it, which looks cool. Have some more on that, and we have these rubbery things going down. You have the elf eyes and the horns because it's an Oni, and in the back of the figure we can see the beautiful paint job on the hair. There's also a little bit of brighter spots on her buns up here, but it's mostly in the back. You can see it goes into the lighter, and there's also some detail in there. I didn't even see that before. As I move down to the chest area, because yeah, this figure is chock full of fan service. They knew what they were doing, and I know why I bought it. You got this frizzy stuff over here, which is not connected. It is floaty, so you can technically you can take all these off, these blue frizzy things, which have also a nice paint job, some white in there, just on the tips. And I might add, the paint on this figure is fantastic. I have not had any issues with look at this small blue line work, the green in there, it looks great. Down to the gauntlets have the same gold effect as we had before, and even the tiny golden ring on the fist is clean. There's no bleeding. There's also some line work in her armbands, and everything on it it looks really freaking clean, and I don't have any issues with that. So that's fantastic. As I move down to the hips, and damn boy, he's thick. Yeah, they don't lie. It's kind of really connected though. There's a little bit of a disconnect between the hips itself and the thighs, and you have the small curve up here and the small curve down here. You know what I'm talking about. And down to the stocking with this detail on here, and the red shoes with some more line work in the one stocking. Only has one stocking. And then in the back, it's sponsor time. Well, actually, I don't have to yell as much because it's right there. It's right there. And it's nice and shiny, by the way. I love the coloring of the red. It's metallic, so it really stands out. It's really sexy looking. And again, that's the thing. Now, before I move on, here's some bad parts about this figure, because it all looks lovely and whatnot, but first and foremost, the joints. This one disconnects way too easily, way too often, and just move it around, pop, it goes off. So that's an issue. And then also the way it's connected over here, it just falls apart. This goes off, this goes off. So you can disassemble it very easily, and you can take parts off if you don't like the bracelets, for example. Yeah, it's a little bit too floppy for my taste. I wish the connections would be a little bit better, but you can do that just for telling, so you know that. And also, the knees are just really wobbly. They stick together if I pull on it, but like this is like just kind of hard to pose. And the same thing go with the feet. It just, yeah, the joints could be a lot tighter. And finally, you might be noticing, hey, what is going on over here? There's this one detail piece on this side, and there's a hole on the other side. Yes, because as I try to move it around, that already disconnected over there because it's just kind of, it's just in there. It's not a round pack, because if it would be a round pack, you could at least turn it around to get it out of the way. But no, it has some wiggle room, but if you wiggle it too much, it's probably gonna break off. And there's some spots on the leg over here because the paint is rubbing off. So there's some paint, definitely some paint scratching going on. It's rubbing off on the skin way too easily. And finally, I don't know how well you can tell it on the camera with all the lighting, but the skin isn't painted for the most part. And if you're looking at it right here, right now, you can tell the thighs and the hips over here and the torso, well, mostly the chest area, are painted. So it has a different color than the rest of the skin, because the skin is not painted, it's just skin colored plastic. But then you have over here, it's way more noticeable over here that you have the paint in the back and also on the hips. But the belly button also, it seems like it's not painted, so that's just weird. Like, either paint it or don't paint it, but why are you painting some parts and then not paint some other parts? Anyway, moving on. Huh, I actually got it to stand up. Nice. Anyway, let's have a look at the articulation. And oof, this one, yeah. This one shows that it's a new company, I guess, is what I'm going to say. First of all, the head sculpt has just, okay, I just wanted to disconnect up there. It's just a ball, and there's nothing in it. It's not a ball hinge, it's not a double ball, it's just a ball. So, very simple, nothing going on in the neck. So, yeah, you have side to side, and it would go all the way around, but because of the hair, it's blocked, and it doesn't really move back because of the hair, it's blocked. So, then we have, I'm just gonna get this chest piece out of the way. It is fairly nimble, but I always just kind of push on it so it doesn't disconnect. Well, I'm gonna put some super glue on the ball joint and rotate it around to tighten that connection. So, you know, that's something that's easy fixable, but something that we shouldn't have to fix. For the shoulder, it is the same thing as like a Figma, but weirder and wobblier. So you have a ball joint in the chest area, and then you have this weird kind of, I don't even know, teardrop looking joint in there. So that moves in there, has a hinge on it, and then you also can swivel it, and this is where it gets really annoying, really frustrating. I'm just trying to get the head off. Well, not frustrating to say, but like hard to move around because it swivels on the teardrop joints. But that's barely, you can barely do that because otherwise the entire ball joint rotates with it. But then you also have a swivel, bicep swivel over here. You can completely swivel around the ball on the ball joint for the shoulder, and as this is kind of just falling apart, there's a lot of moving parts, and you know, playing around with this figure is not fun, I feel like. So you have the regular ball joint in there, and then you have another ball joint for the fist, which is pretty blocked, but you could take this off, by the way. I didn't really focus on this kind of knuckle piece with the spikes on there. It looks great. But anyway, moving back and forth, same stuff as with Figma. And moving down to the torso, well, there's not really anything going on over here. You have this classic, let me get this out. You have this classic wide joint, so you can move that theoretically on the top around, and it does have more like a, it works more like a hinge because it can move it forward and it can move it to the back, and doesn't really tilt side to side because of the thick legs. And the way this is molded, it's just super simple. It's just a ball joint in there, and you have a little bit of room, but since the figure is fairly free, it does work around nicely, and it looks good. That's something I gotta say. It. They definitely looked at it and were like, we don't have to make this super functional. We just have to make it look so her ass looks good most of the time. I say most of the time because, well, I mean, this is still, yeah, no, yes. Ass cheeks are a little bit too far apart. Also, it likes to disconnect like everything on this figure. And it's not too bad on the legs, but yeah, also this completely prohibits any rotation up there, so I guess that's why they made 5 swivels, which I'm not a big fan of. Like on this side it's fine because it's covered up by this, but on this side it's just yuck. It's ugly, it breaks up the skull as soon as I move it around, and I'd rather not have it anyway. So also, by the way, be careful with this, because obviously if you move it out to the side, this moves with it, and I'm going to do it very slowly just to show you, but always be aware that this piece is just kind of tucked in there, doesn't have a ball, doesn't really rotate, and if it goes off, you will have to glue it. I think it will hold on to it, but still, be careful not to break your figure. You have the double hinged knees, which goes up all the way, and yeah, like I'm saying, it also rotates as much as it wants to. Then we have the foot is on another ball hinge, which also is super duper loose. You can rotate it on the top, and you can use also the lower half to swivel it around and make a pivot out of it, and that's it. So for your accessories, as I run into my ring light, as it is the standard, you have 2 more faces. Smiling face and a kind of yelling face, but she doesn't really look angry, so kind of weird expression as one of them falls to the floor. Then for the hands, you got like standard, really super standard stuff. You got the open hands and then peace sign fingers, of course, and 2 holding hands to hold her big sword, which my camera has kind of a problem focusing. Also, you have these rings, 2 of these golden metallic rings, and from what I can tell, since this entire figure, by the way, you can't take this off, I just want to show you, there's some more detail under there. Nicely painted, looks good, but since you can take all of these frizzy things off, I guess the golden rings is supposed to just go on there to close the gap, right? And you can have like the, I guess the unarmored version. While I'm at it, let's do some more of that. It's like you have this, take this off, and there you go. Since I mean one of the title is armored version, even though I wouldn't call this design armored, but yeah, you can tell. Can take all this off and display her like that if you want to, or just have one side, maybe play around with it. So there is some option for that, which is pretty nice. I don't really care about it, you know, I want to have all the stuff on there all the time. We got a big sword, which looks amazing. As everything on the figure, the looks, I have 0 complaints about it. The gold looks amazing, it's clean, and the handle also has like a little bit more of a matte finish. And the sword is nice metallic, and it is red at the tip for the blood of her enemies, or her period. And then there's the base, which is a lot like a Figma base. You have the, what does it say, BODYTEC, whatever it's called. It's fairly thick, like everything on this figure. And you have this weird piece on the front part, I guess to kind of move around with the hair. Because I had her on with just this, and that works also. And you might be wondering, well, if we have a Figma piece, can you put that on there? Yeah, you can. That stays on there also very nicely, and also see if we connect it to the figure. You know, just out of curiosity. It's kind of a tight fit, but I guess it would work. The hole in there is not as deep, and don't take that out of context. You can take anything else out of context, just not that. And finally, since I got like the Ami exclusive version, I think I also got this, which not every version, I'm guessing, is what not every version has, because this seems like the type of exclusive thing. You got this little red envelope with some nice shiny gold on there, and you get a little card with some spicy artwork. Woof! It's beautiful though. It's lovely, and I like it, and it has like a signature, and I don't know what this says. If you can read this, please let me know. Also, there's some more writing on top, but I think that's just like the 72 whatever blah 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 stuff. Oh yeah, there's nothing on the back, by the way, just the card. Just the card. Final thoughts. Oh boy, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh my god. Putting this together, putting this in a pose was not fun at all. Because of all the wobbly bits and pieces of the articulation. There was stuff just be disconnecting. Nothing else broke off, just to be clear, but Okay, so overlook in detail. The design and the look of the figure is obviously what attracted me, and I'm super happy with it. It looks great, and the paint job is oh so clean. I'm like, and also like the paint application says like a lot more of a metallic look and like a lot more shiny and a lot more matte, and there's a lot to it really if you go through all of the different types of paint that we have on here and like the shading and whatnot. So that's great. Now the bats. Whew. So almost everything else, unfortunately. Well, mostly the technical aspect of the figure, the articulation. It's just way too wobbly and stuff just disconnecting, and it's sometimes hard to line it up. It's basic. Most of the articulation is basic. Some of it is pretty good, some of it is basic, but I feel like that's the main point where this figure should improve is stability and some articulation points. Make it look nicer and make it work better. Other than that, the accessories are neither here nor there. It's really basic, but it looks great, so I can't hate it. Finally, what does that mean? The price point for this figure on Big Bad Toy Store is $100. For which I have to say no. I cannot recommend this figure at such a high entry point. It's just like, the price point is really, I feel like, what kills it for me. Because this figure would be like, and half the price, I'd be fine. 50, 60 bucks, I'd be like, yeah, sure, whatever. But, I mean, it's a little bit too expensive. But, you know, hey, Orange Cat Industries, if you're hearing this, well, they're probably not watching this. But anyways, just, this figure, it seems like I'm saying, it looks like this is their first one. And I think these issues can be fixed easily, and I hope in the future they bring out some more figures in this sexy style, and if they improve mostly on the joints and articulation, then I'm 100% fine with the figure, and potentially even with the price points. Anyway, that's gonna do it, guys. As usual, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget, if you enjoyed this review, hit it up with a like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more figure reviews, card game stuff, and whatever Camio wants.